They thought the quiet Asian girl would be easy prey. Big mistake. She was a third-degree black belt. Hana Lee had perfected the art of invisibility long before stepping foot in Oceanview High School, standing barely 5'2" with shoulder-length black hair that perpetually fell across her face. She possessed the kind of unassuming presence that made teachers forget her name and classmates look right through her oversized hoodies and worn jeans suggested nothing more threatening than another transfer student trying to survive adolescent warfare. What nobody at Oceanview knew was that Hana had spent the last 9 years training with her grandmother, a former national TAEKWONDO champion in South Korea under Halmeoni's strict tutelage. Hana had mastered not just devastating martial arts techniques, but the discipline and restraint that separated warriors from thugs. Her father's job had uprooted them from their small town to this coastal Oregon community, and Hana had made peace with starting over once again. She kept her head down, completed assignments, and counted days until graduation would free her from this teenage purgatory. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. The trouble started on her second day when she accidentally made eye contact with Jordan Vance in the cafeteria line. Jordan, a statuesque blonde volleyball captain, ruled Oceanview's social hierarchy with the kind of confidence that came from never facing real consequences. Her perfectly manicured nails and perpetual sneer had intimidated countless students into submission over the years. Her entourage consisted of Ashlyn Torres, a loud, aggressive girl whose cruelty matched her leader's ambition, and Riley Monroe, whose family's wealth had bought her a place in Jordan's inner circle. Despite her naturally anxious disposition, nice outfit freak, Jordan said loud enough for surrounding tables to hear, very thrift store chic. Hana mumbled an apology and tried to move past them, but Jordan stepped deliberately into her path. "I don't think I heard you properly. Maybe you need to speak up when you're talking to your betters." The cafeteria had grown quiet, sensing drama like predators. Scenting blood, Hana felt the familiar surge of adrenaline that preceded combat, but forced herself to remain calm. "Not here, not now, just get through this. I said I was sorry." Hana repeated, her voice barely above a whisper. "Sorry doesn't fix the fact that you exist," Jordan declared. "Maybe you should consider transferring again before things get unpleasant for you here." Hana stepped around Jordan and walked away, ignoring the chorus of snickers that followed her retreat. "Choose your battles." Her grandmother's voice echoed in her mind. "Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away." But Jordan Vance wasn't finished with her new toy over. The following weeks, the harassment escalated with surgical precision. Jordan and her crew would accidentally knock Hana's books from her hands in hallways, sending papers scattering, while other students trampled them underfoot. They would save seats in the cafeteria only to move their bags when Hana approached, forcing her to eat lunch alone in the library. Ashlyn took particular pleasure in spreading rumors about Hana's family, suggesting her parents were probably criminals who had been forced to relocate. The psychological warfare was expertly crafted to stay just below the threshold that would trigger administrative intervention. When teachers were present, Jordan's group maintained plausible deniability, their actions appearing accidental to adult observers. But Hana recognized the tactics for what they were: a systematic campaign designed to break her spirit. During gym class, Coach Delgado dismissed Hana as not athletic enough for team sports, making her sit out volleyball while Jordan's group dominated the court. "Maybe try art club or something more suitable," he suggested with obvious disappointment. If only he knew that Hana could probably disarm him and put him on the ground before he could blink. But that knowledge was her secret to keep. The breaking point came when Hana witnessed Jordan's group targeting Amara Brooks, a quiet sophomore with paint-stained fingers who spent most of her time in the art room creating intricate drawings. Amara was exactly the kind of vulnerable target that predators like Jordan, specialized in destroying. Hana found Amara crying in the bathroom, her latest sketchbook torn apart and scattered across the wet floor. "They filmed it," Amara whispered through tears. They made me watch while they destroyed everything and recorded the whole thing. The rage that rose in Hana's chest was white-hot and familiar. She'd felt it before at her last school when bullying had escalated until she'd finally snapped. That incident had ended with an ambulance, a suspension, and her family's hasty move across 3 states. It was why Halmeoni had intensified her training, focusing on control and discipline rather than pure technique. Anger is fire that burns the house where it lives. Her grandmother had warned, learn to bank the flames, use them to forge strength, not destruction. Hana knelt beside Amara, carefully gathering the soggy pieces of artwork. They can't take away what's in here, she said softly, touching her finger to Amara's temple. They can destroy paper, but they can't destroy talent that belongs to you forever. That evening she called Halmeoni, needing to hear her grandmother's voice across the miles. They test you, Halmeoni said in Korean, her accent thick with wisdom and worry. These children who have never known real hardship. They smell strength and seek to prove dominance. But remember, Hana, a tree that bends in storm survives, while proud oak breaks. What if bending isn't enough? What if they keep pushing until someone gets hurt? Then you must decide what kind of person you wish to be, the one who strikes first or the one who ensures striking stops. The rumor started Tuesday morning, spreading through Oceanview High with viral efficiency that only teenage gossip could achieve by lunch. It had evolved from whispered speculation to accepted fact. Despite having no basis in reality, I'm telling you, she's hiding something under all those baggy clothes, Ashlyn announced loudly in cafeteria, making sure her voice carried to nearby tables. Scars maybe, or worse. Jordan leaned back with satisfied expression of chess player positioning queen for checkmate. It would explain why she never changes in locker room, always waits until everyone's gone, or changes in bathroom stalls. This was partially true. Hana did avoid changing in front of others, but not for reasons they imagined. Years of intensive training had left her body lean and muscled in ways that would immediately contradict her carefully crafted image of weakness. But truth was irrelevant. When it came to high school social warfare, what mattered was creating doubt, suspicion, and morbid curiosity. That could justify almost any invasion of privacy. Riley picked at her salad, discomfort obvious to anyone who bothered looking. Maybe we should just leave her alone, she said quietly. She hasn't actually done anything to us. She exists, Jordan replied coldly. She sits there all quiet and mysterious, like she's better than rest of us, like she's got some big secret that makes her special. I think it's time we found out what she's really hiding. The plan, when it crystallized, was simple in its cruelty. Thursday afternoon after gym class, when locker room would be mostly empty except for stragglers, a deliberate confrontation that would escalate just enough to justify defending themselves by forcibly removing Hana's protective layers of clothing. Riley felt sick listening to details, but her protests grew weaker with each iteration. She was caught between conscience and terror of losing her place in Jordan's inner circle. On Wednesday, Ashlyn slipped note into Hana's locker during lunch. The message was brief and seemingly innocent. Coach wants stragglers to change in back section after gym locker 47 is open if you need it. A helpful friend. Hana read the note twice, her trained instincts immediately recognizing it as bait. The handwriting was disguised, but paper was expensive, the kind Riley Monroe carried in her designer planner. Instead of fear, she felt strange sense of relief. The waiting was almost over. The careful dance of predator and prey was approaching its climax, and soon she would no longer have to pretend to be helpless. That evening, she practiced forms until her grandmother's voice seemed to whisper from walls. When enemy chooses battlefield, you must choose strategy. Make their strength become weakness, make their certainty become downfall. Thursday arrived, gray and drizzling Oregon coast wrapped in perpetual shroud of mist. After gym class, Hana lingered until most students had filtered toward locker rooms. She could see Jordan's group huddled near door, pretending to discuss weekend plans while actually coordinating timing. Riley stood slightly apart, anxiety radiating like static electricity. When Hana finally entered girls' locker room, she moved with deliberate casualness toward back section indicated in note locker. 47 was indeed open, positioned in corner where security cameras couldn't reach. He could hear them coming before they appeared, footsteps too coordinated to be coincidental. Jordan rounded corner first, flanked by Ashlyn and reluctant Riley. The predatory confidence in their postures would have been intimidating to most teenagers. To someone who had spent years training with adults who could kill with bare hands, it was almost pitiful. "Well, well," Jordan said, voice echoing off tiled walls. "Finally decided to join rest of us in real locker room." Hana continued, changing into regular clothes with studied calm, pulling chemistry textbook from backpack, just following note. Someone left. Coach wanted stragglers to use this section. "Funny thing about that note," Ashlyn said, moving to block exit. "Coach didn't write it. We did because we've decided it's time to solve mystery of what you're hiding under all those baggy clothes." Riley hung back, face pale, hands shaking. "Jordan, maybe we should. Telling and preparing this story took us a lot of time. So if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story." "Maybe we should," what Jordan snapped. "Let her keep pretending she's better than us. Let her keep acting like she's got some big secret that makes her special. Well, guess what? Freak secrets don't stay secret forever." Hana slowly zipped up, backpack movements fluid and controlled when she spoke. Voice was calm as still water. "You really don't want to do this." The warning only seemed to fuel Jordan's excitement. "Oh, but I really do. In fact, I think we all need to see what you're so desperate to hide." Time slowed as Jordan's hands reached for Hana's hoodie, fingers curled with confidence of someone who had never encountered real resistance. In that crystalline moment, Hana felt familiar surge of adrenaline that preceded combat, but underneath was something else. Cold, calculating calm that came from years of disciplined training. "Last chance," Hana said quietly, voice barely above whisper. "Walk away." Jordan's laugh was sharp and cruel. "Or what you'll tell principal, you'll cry. Time to see what you're really hiding, freak." The moment Jordan tried to pull, everything changed. Hana moved like water flowing around stone, her body shifting in a way that redirected Jordan's forward momentum while simultaneously breaking her grip. It wasn't violent. There were no strikes, no obvious displays of martial arts technique. To untrained observer, it might have looked like Jordan simply lost her balance, but effect was immediate and devastating. Jordan found herself stumbling forward, hands empty, while Hana had somehow moved 3 feet to left without appearing to take step. "What the?" Ashlyn started, then stopped as Hana's dark eyes fixed on her with kind of focus that made prey animals freeze in wild. "Your turn," Hana said softly. "Unless you'd prefer to reconsider." Ashlyn charged forward with graceless aggression of someone who had never learned proper technique, hands reaching to grab and restrain. Hana's response was textbook demonstration of why years of disciplined training would always triumph over raw hostility. She stepped inside Ashlyn's reach, right hand coming up to guide Ashlyn's wrist, while left pressed gently against girl's elbow. The joint lock was applied with surgical precision. Enough pressure to control without causing damage, firm enough to make resistance impossible. She found herself frozen mid-charge, arm twisted at an angle that made any movement painful but caused no actual harm. "Let go of me," she hissed, but voice carried edge of fear that hadn't been there before. "When you stop trying to hurt me," Hana replied calmly. "Until then, I suggest you remain very still." Riley pressed herself against wall, face white with shock. This wasn't how confrontation was supposed to go. Jordan was meant to be in control. Ashlyn was supposed to provide backup, and new girl was supposed to be helpless and humiliated. Instead, she was watching her friends being systematically neutralized by someone who moved like whisper and struck like lightning. Jordan recovered from initial shock with fury of someone whose authority had never been questioned. "You think you're tough?" she snarled, pulling out phone. "Let's see how tough you are when everyone sees what psycho you really are." But Jordan had made critical error in judgment. She assumed Hana would be afraid of exposure, when in reality she had been hiding capabilities precisely to avoid this kind of confrontation. Now that it was happening anyway, need for concealment had vanished. "Go ahead," Hana said, voice carrying note of steel that made both Jordan and Riley step backward involuntarily. Record it, show everyone exactly what happens when you try to strip someone against their will. With fluid precision, she adjusted grip on Ashlyn's arm, transforming control hold into something that looked far more dramatic without actually increasing pressure. Show them how I defended myself without throwing single punch. Show them how I controlled situation without losing temper. Show them exactly what 9 years of discipline training looks like when applied with restraint. Jordan's finger hesitated over record button as implications sank in video would indeed show her attempting to forcibly remove another student's clothing, while Hana's defense would look measured and controlled. What kind of training? Riley whispered, finding her voice. Hana released Ashlyn's arm and stepped back, allowing girl to retreat to Jordan's side. Taekwondo 3rd degree black belt certified instructor. Regional champion twice in my age division. My grandmother was national champion in South Korea. Before she immigrated, she's been teaching me since I was 7 years old. The transformation was startling. Without concealing layers of baggy clothing, Hana looked like an entirely different person. Her posture straightened, movements became more fluid, and presence seemed to fill small space of locker room. You wanted to see what I was hiding, she said, meeting each of their eyes in turn. Now you know I wasn't hiding scars or shame. I was hiding strength because I hoped I wouldn't need to use it. By Friday morning, locker room incident had transformed into legend that bore only passing resemblance to actual events. The story mutated with each telling, growing more dramatic, until even Hana barely recognized herself in rumors circulating through Oceanview High's hallways. I heard she broke Ashlyn's arm with some ninja move, one freshman whispered. My sister said she's been training since birth with secret martial arts master, came response. Deadly stuff that's banned in competitions. The most persistent rumor involved video that supposedly captured confrontation. Someone claimed Jordan had recorded everything before it was mysteriously deleted. Others insisted security footage existed, but was being suppressed by administration. The truth that no recording had been made was far less interesting than mythology growing around Hana's supposed prowess. What made situation surreal was fact that Jordan, Ashlyn, and Riley had gone completely silent about what actually happened. Their version, when pressed by curious classmates, was limited to vague statements about misunderstandings and things getting blown out of proportion. Principal Davidson called Hana to his office during second period. Miss Lee, he said, settling behind desk with weary expression. I've been hearing some very interesting stories about you lately. Hana remained calm, hands folded in lap. What kind of stories? Stories about confrontations with other students, about martial arts training, and self-defense incidents. His eyes were sharp despite casual tone. Has anyone filed complaint against you? No, actually, that's what makes the situation unusual. Normally when we have these power struggles, there are clear incidents I can point to, but in your case, you've simply refused to be victimized, he consulted. File on desk. Your transcripts are interesting, excellent grades. No disciplinary issues, but there's gap 3-week suspension explained, only a self-defense incident under review. Hana felt familiar tightness remembering her last school group of students cornered me in bathroom. They had been escalating harassment for weeks. When they finally attacked physically, I defended myself. One ended up in hospital. Yet you weren't charged with assault because security cameras showed clearly who aggressors were. Davidson made note. Your grandmother contacted me yesterday, Mrs. Lee. Sounds remarkable. She wanted me to understand your background. 3rd degree black belt certified instructor, regional champion. Taekwondo isn't about fighting, Hana said, echoing Halmeoni's words. It's about discipline, respect, and self-improvement. Physical techniques are just one aspect. That assessment proved accurate. As Hana made her way through rest of school day, whispers followed her, but tone had shifted from mockery to curiosity. Even admiration students who had previously ignored her now watched with interest, some offering tentative smiles or nods. Change was most evident in cafeteria, where complex social ecosystem was on full display. Jordan's usual table seemed diminished, conversation subdued, body language defensive. Other students who had previously given them wide berth now sat closer, invisible. Boundaries of fear beginning to dissolve when Amara Brooks approached, carrying art supplies and looking nervous, but determined. It felt like moment of significance. "Can I sit here?" she asked, voice barely above whisper. "Of course," Amara settled across from Hana, pulling out sketchbook, immediately beginning to draw. "They didn't break me," she said, suddenly not looking up. "When they destroyed my artwork, filmed it, and laughed. I thought they had, but watching you yesterday, seeing how you handled them made me realize something." "What's that?" "They only have power if we give it to them. You didn't give them power over you. Even when cornered, even when threatened, you stayed in control." Conversation was interrupted by unexpected visitor Riley. Monroe approached hesitantly, designer clothes immaculate, but face pale and drawn. "Hana, can I talk to you privately?" When they were alone, Riley slumped into chair. Usual polished confidence nowhere to be seen. "I can't stop thinking about what happened." "About what we tried to do, what you did do," Hana corrected gently. "Attempt was action regardless of whether it succeeded. I know, and I hate myself for it. I've been going along with Jordan's cruelty so long I forgot how wrong it was, told myself. It was harmless fun, that we weren't really hurting anyone. But you knew better, that's why you tried to warn me." Riley wiped eyes, smearing carefully applied makeup. "There are things you should know about Jordan, about what she's planning next. She's not giving up. She's angry and humiliated, convinced that if she can find right angle, she can turn school against you. She's been calling your old school, trying to find details about suspension. Thinks if she can prove you're violent, she can get you expelled." The information didn't surprise Hana, but did concern her. Jordan's desperation made her unpredictable. She's also talking to her parents. They have connections on school board, money, influence, kind of power that can make problems disappear or create them. "What about you?" Hana asked. "What are you going to do now?" Riley straightened, looking directly into Hana's eyes for first time. "I'm going to quit the group, stop participating in their cruelty, even if it means eating lunch alone for rest of year, and I'm going to apologize to every person we've hurt, starting with Amara." "That's good start. Is it enough? Can I ever make up for things I've done, pain I've helped?" "'Cause," Hana considered question carefully, "redemption isn't destination. It's journey. You can't undo past, but you can choose to be different going forward." As Riley left, Hana remained at table, processing conversation and its implications. Social dynamics at Oceanview were shifting like tectonic plates, and she found herself at center of changes. She had never intended to initiate. Her phone buzzed with text from Halmeoni. "How are you adjusting, Hana? Remember that strength without wisdom is just violence, but wisdom without courage is just cowardice." The message felt eerily appropriate. She had demonstrated strength, now needed to decide how to use it wisely. Easy path would be retreat back into invisibility. Let rumors die down, return to careful camouflage. But harder path, one that led towards something better, required stepping forward into light, accepting responsibility that came with being seen. That afternoon, walking the locker after classes, Hana noticed small crowd gathered near gym entrance. At center was Marcus Webb, quiet freshman, whose thick glasses and nervous stutter made him frequent target. 3 upperclassmen surrounded him with predatory grins. "Come on, stutter boy," one was saying. "Just say please don't hurt me, and we'll let you go." Marcus's face was red with humiliation, books clutched against chest like shield. Gathered students watched with fascination, some filming, while others enjoyed entertainment value of someone else's suffering. Hana felt familiar surge of anger rise, but this time didn't bank the flame. This time she let it burn clean and bright, fueling resolve as she stepped forward. "Problem here?" she asked, voice carrying clearly across sudden silence. 3 bullies turned, expressions shifting from confidence to uncertainty as they recognized girl whose reputation had grown to mythic proportions. Lead bully Derek Martinez tried to maintain swagger despite obvious nervousness. "Just having conversation with our friend Marcus. Nothing that concerns you." "I think it does concern me," Hana replied, moving closer with fluid grace. I think it concerns everyone tired of watching people get picked on by cowards who need group to feel strong. Crowd pressed closer, sensing something significant. Phones appeared as students began recording, but this time Hana didn't mind. Let them capture what happened next. Let whole school see what she chose to do with strength. You want to try that again? Derek demanded, voice cracking with adolescent bravado. Or you going to hide behind karate reputation like fake tough? Girl. Hana smiled, and for first time since arriving at Oceanview, let her true confidence show. I don't need to hide behind anything. Question is, are you brave enough to pick on someone who can actually fight back? The confrontation was about to escalate, and this time Hana wasn't planning to hold back quite so much. Quiet girl, who had spent weeks avoiding attention, was gone, replaced by someone who understood that sometimes only way to stop bullying was to make bullies afraid of consequences. Marcus Webb was about to discover he wasn't as alone as he thought. Drake Martinez lunged forward with all the grace of angry rhinoceros, telegraphing his movements so obviously that Hana had time to catalog 17 different ways she could end the confrontation before his hands even reached her. Instead of devastating counterattack, she chose education, stepping slightly to side and guiding his momentum past her with minimal contact. Derek stumbled forward, his own aggression carrying him into embarrassing collision with brick wall. Physics, Hana said calmly as Derek rubbed his shoulder. When you commit fully to motion, you become prisoner of that motion. The crowd murmured appreciatively. Marcus Webb watched with wide eyes as his tormentor found himself schooled by girl half Derek's size without single strike being thrown. What the hell was that? Derek demanded, spinning around with confusion, replacing earlier aggression. Some kind of trick, basic principle of TAEKWONDO and physics. Force equals mass times acceleration, but direction matters more than strength. Hana replied, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. Unfortunately for you, that road led to wall. One of Derek's friends stepped forward, trying to salvage situation. 3 against 1 seems more fair odds, he said, cracking knuckles with theatrical menace. Hana's posture shifted almost imperceptibly, but those with trained eyes could see her weight distribute evenly, stance widening just enough to provide stable base. 3 against 1 would be unfair for you. The simple confidence in her statement sent ripple through gathered crowd. Riley Monroe pushed through, looking desperate and determined. Stop, she called out, voice carrying authority that surprised everyone, including herself. Just stop. This is exactly what she's talking about. We're all standing here, watching entertainment value of someone getting hurt. And for what? Her voice grew stronger. Because Derek thinks picking on people smaller than him makes him important, because we've all accepted that cruelty is normal part of high school. Well, I'm tired of it, tired of being part of system that rewards bullies and punishes victims. Murmurs of agreement began spreading through crowd. Marcus stepped forward, emboldened by unexpected support. She's right. I'm tired of being afraid, tired of accepting that some people get to make others miserable just because they can. Derek looked around, desperately seeking support, but found only uncomfortable faces and averted eyes. This isn't over, he muttered, falling back on traditional bully threat. Yes, it is, Hana said with absolute finality. It's over because people like Riley and Marcus are done being afraid and without fear. You have no power over anyone. Jordan Vance spent weekend plotting revenge. The humiliation of being outmaneuvered by quiet transfer student had eaten at her like acid. Monday morning, she cornered Ashlyn in parking lot. We need to end this. She's made us look like fools, turned Riley against us. Maybe we should just leave her alone, Jordan. She's dangerous and people are starting to side with her. Ashlyn protested, rubbing her wrist unconsciously. I'm going to confront her directly, challenge her publicly, make her show everyone what she really is. Underneath all that Zen master act, during lunch Jordan found Hana sitting with Amara and Marcus at table that had become informal gathering place for students seeking alternative to traditional social hierarchy. We need to talk privately. Hana looked up from chemistry textbook. Anything you need to say can be said here. These are my friends. Friends, you mean your little collection of misfits and losers, people too weak to fight their own battles. Jordan laughed harshly. It's okay, let her talk. Sometimes people need to exhaust their anger before they can hear wisdom. Hana replied calmly, wisdom? You think you're wise because you know some martial arts tricks. Jordan leaned forward with predatory smile. But we both know what you really are underneath that calm exterior. You're just another angry girl looking for excuse to lash out. Is that what you think this is about, violence and intimidation? Hana stood slowly, movements fluid and controlled. Isn't it? You've built your reputation on fear, making people think you're dangerous. Okay, follow me, Hana said simply. Walking toward Exithi ended up an empty gymnasium. Hana moving to center while Jordan positioned herself near door. Well, where's the big demonstration? Going to show me some ninja moves? No, I'm going to show you something else. Sit down, and I'll explain what you're really afraid of. Hana sat cross-legged on polished floor. Despite herself, Jordan found herself settling across from Hana. You're not afraid of me physically. You're afraid of what I represent. Change an order you thought was permanent. You built your power on making others feel small, but when someone refuses to accept that judgment, your entire system falls apart. You don't know anything about me, Jordan protested. I know you're scared that without ability to make others feel inferior, you have no value. Scared that if people stop being afraid, they'll see you're just as insecure as everyone else. Shut up, you don't know what you're talking about. I know because I've been where you are, not as bully, but as someone who used strength to hide weakness. Who thought if I could control situations through fear, no one would see how afraid I really was. Jordan felt tears threatening. It's too late for me. Everyone knows what I am. It's never too late to choose differently, but it requires admitting you were wrong, and that's hardest thing anyone can do. Doors opened, and Ashlyn entered, followed by other students. Expecting fight, but finding two girls sitting peacefully talking like old friends. Is everything okay? Jordan stood, wiping her eyes. I'm tired of being angry all the time, tired of making other people hurt, because I hurt, tired of pretending that cruelty makes me strong. Hana rose, extending her hand to Jordan. Then stop. Choose to be different starting now. Jordan looked at offered hand for a long moment, then slowly reached out to accept it. I don't know how to be anything else. That's where we start, by admitting we don't know and being willing to learn. Wednesday afternoon, Hana stood in borrowed classroom, waiting to see if anyone would show for first meeting of Strength Circle. Marcus arrived first, followed by Amara carrying sketchpad. Riley entered hesitantly, still uncertain about her welcome to Hana's surprise. Several other students trickled in, including Jennifer Walsh, David Chun, and even Tom Bradley. Most surprising was Jordan Vance appearing in doorway, looking uncertain. Is it okay if I join? I know I don't deserve to be here, but I want to learn how to be better. Everyone deserves chance to grow. Question is whether you're committed to doing the work. Hana gestured to empty chairs. Began by having everyone share names, and one thing they hoped to gain common thread was desire to reclaim personal power. Taekwondo means way of foot and fist, but more important part is way. It's path of discipline that teaches us to know ourselves so completely that external circumstances cannot shake our center. They started with breathing exercises. When someone tries to make you angry, they're attempting to control you, but if you can control your breathing, you can control your emotional response, she demonstrated. Basic stance, not aggressive fighting position, but balanced, centered posture that communicated confidence without threat. How you carry yourself sends message. Slouched shoulders tell predators you're easy target, but straight spine suggests someone who won't be pushed around. They practiced simple exercises designed more to build confidence than fighting ability. Basic blocks, proper way to break, free from wrist grabs, techniques for creating distance. But most important was practicing saying no clearly and firmly. You don't owe anyone justification for your boundaries. No is complete sentence. Riley struggled with this. I feel like I'm being mean. You've been taught that standing up for yourself is mean because people who want to control you benefit from that belief, Jordan said, unexpectedly surprising everyone, including herself. This session Wound down Hana gathered them back into circle. What we practice here isn't about fighting, it's about becoming people who don't need to fight. Because we carry ourselves with dignity that discourages those who would prey on perceived weakness. Coach Delgado appeared, having heard about gathering. Everything okay in here? Perfectly fine, coach. We're practicing breathing exercises and basic self-confidence techniques. He studied group, noting mix of former bullies and victims. Sitting together, peacefully, carry on then, but keep door open. Jordan lingered after others left. I wanted to thank you for letting me join after everything I've done. Real change happens between these meetings and how you treat people when no one is watching. Hana replied over following week's strength circle. Grew as words spread about safe space where students could learn confidence without resorting to cruelty months. Past and Oceanview High felt like different school, entirely hallways that had once echoed with cruel laughter, now buzzed with more positive energy. Students who had spent years accepting abuse began pushing back against bullies who found their tactics no longer effective. A regional taekwondo competition approached, and Hana decided to compete for first time since moving to Oregon. Halmeoni drove down from Hillsboro to watch, proud smile creasing her weathered face as she watched her granddaughter move through forms with precision that spoke of years of dedicated practice. Hana advanced through each round with methodical precision. When she stepped onto mat for final match, she carried with her not just individual training, but collective support of everyone at Oceanview, who had learned they were stronger than they believed. Her opponent was skilled and aggressive, but Hana moved like water on stone, redirecting force rather than meeting it head-on, waiting for moment when aggression would create opening. When that moment came, Hana's response was swift and decisive, perfectly executed technique that scored points while demonstrating respect for opponent. First place in sparring and forms. Hana Lee, Oceanview High School. As she stood on podium accepting gold medal, Hana caught sight of classmates in stands. Marcus, Amara, Riley, and other members of Strength circle cheering enthusiastically. After competition, they gathered at restaurant to celebrate. Marcus had joined debate team. Amara had submitted artwork to state competition. Riley had become peer counselor. Remember when you were afraid to speak? Above whisper, Riley said to Marcus. Remember when you thought being cruel made you strong? Marcus replied without malice. We've all changed. Jordan spoke quietly. I keep thinking about students I hurt, wondering if any will ever forgive me. Forgiveness is gift you give yourself. You can't control whether others forgive you, but you can choose to forgive yourself and commit to being better. Hana Satamara handed Hana a small wrapped package. I made something for you. Inside was illustrated story titled The Quiet Warrior, showing journey of girl who learned true strength came from protecting others. Artwork was exquisite, capturing the emotional truth of transformation they had all experienced. Maybe we could share it somehow, let other kids know they don't have to accept being victims, Amara suggested. They discussed creating workshop that could be presented at other schools, combination of basic self-defense philosophy and conflict resolution. We could call it Strength Circle Outreach. Show people that former bullies and victims can work together. Last day of school arrived with unusual warmth. Oregon coast finally revealing brilliant blue sky. Hana stood at her locker for final time, packing away memories of year that had transformed entire social ecosystem of Oceanview High. Marcus approached, walking with confidence unimaginable 9 months earlier. I wanted to thank you not just for standing up to Derek, but for showing me I had strength I didn't know existed. You had it all along, you just needed to believe in it. I'm going to keep Strength Circle going next year. Jenny and David want to help. Mrs. Patterson thinks it's a wonderful idea. Amara appeared carrying portfolio. I got accepted to Art Institute. They loved my Strength Circle series, especially the Quiet Warrior story. Riley emerged looking confident but with genuine warmth. I'm going to study social work, want to help kids going through what we went through. Jordan approached uncertainly. Hana, could I talk to? She said hesitantly. I wanted to tell you that you changed my life, not just by stopping me from hurting others, but by showing me what strength actually looks like. You changed your own life by choosing to be different. I'm going to community college planning to study counseling, maybe help other kids who are angry and hurt the way I was. Do you think people can really change, or will I always be the girl who terrorized innocent students? You'll always be someone who made mistakes. That's part of your story, but it doesn't have to be end of your story. What matters is what you choose to do with that knowledge going forward. Coach Delgado appeared looking sheepish. Miss Lee, I owe you apology. I misjudged you badly. We all make assumptions. Coach, important thing is being willing to change them. Principal Davidson joined them. Miss Lee, what you students created here has made our school a better place. As crowd dispersed, Hana made her way to parking lot where Halmeoni waited, ready to go home. Hana, this was home for a while, but yes, I'm ready for next chapter. Driving away, Hana reflected on lessons learned and taught. She had arrived as frightened girl hiding from past, leaving as confident young woman ready to face whatever lay ahead, but more importantly leaving behind community who had learned strength came from lifting others up. Her phone buzzed with messages from Marcus, Amara, Riley, Jordan, and others expressing gratitude and commitment to continuing work they had started together. You found what you needed here, didn't you? Halmeoni asked. I found what we all need, understanding that we're stronger together than apart, that real power comes from service to others, that martial arts isn't about fighting, it's about becoming person strong enough to choose peace. As Oregon coastline disappeared behind them, Hana carried knowledge that wherever life took her, she would use strength to protect others, to build communities based on respect rather than fear, to show that quiet courage could transform world one person at a time. If shy girl who had hidden her abilities was gone, replaced by confident young woman ready to step fully into light, knowing that true warriors were made not in moments of violence, but in daily choices to be better than their fears and stronger than their pain. Up next, we have 2 more incredible stories that are waiting for you. Just click the image you want to watch and it will take you there. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe. It would mean a lot.